A Japanese researcher once walked into a room packed with crying babies from all over the world. British babies, Canadian babies, Italian babies, all of them screaming. Then he looked at the Japanese babies sitting quietly in the corner. He ran that same study 3 more times. And every single time, the result was the same. So he asked a question that nobody before him had ever thought to ask. What are Japanese mothers doing in the first 90 days of a baby's life that no one else is doing? The answer is just 2 words. By the time this video ends, you'll know exactly what those 2 words are. And more importantly, you'll know how to actually use them starting tonight. Welcome back. This channel is built around one idea, the hidden psychology inside your baby's world. The science that most parenting books quietly skip over. The research that actually changes things. Today, we're going to Japan. Not because Japanese mothers are flawless, not because their culture is superior, but because the data keeps pointing to the same uncomfortable truth. Japanese babies cry less. They sleep better. They learn to calm themselves down earlier than babies in almost every other country on the planet. And the reason behind this has nothing to do with genetics. Nothing to do with food. Nothing to do with anything you've ever heard before. Stay with me, because what's coming is going to surprise you. Let's begin with the actual study. Researchers at the University of Warwick studied data collected from 8,690 babies across many different countries. They focused on just one thing, how much babies cried. Those results were published in the Journal of Pediatrics, and they were remarkable. British babies cried the most. Canadian babies came in right behind them. Italian, Dutch, and American babies all ranked near the top. And sitting at the very bottom of that list, crying the least, fussing the least, with the lowest rates of colic anywhere in the world, were Japanese babies. Only 2% of Japanese babies had colic during their first 6 weeks of life. In Canada, that number was above 34%. Same species. Same biology. Same basic human needs. So what on earth is happening differently? Here is what the research actually found. And this is where it gets truly interesting. Japanese parenting is built on a philosophy that Western cultures mostly walked away from decades ago. It has 2 parts, and yes, these are the 2 words I promised you at the start. The first word is Amae. The second word is Mimamoru. Let me explain both, because once you understand these 2 ideas, you will never look at your baby the same way again. Amae, said as Ma, was first written about by Japanese psychiatrist Takao Doi. It doesn't translate cleanly into English, which is a big part of why Western parenting never picked it up. The closest meaning in English is something like this, the quiet expectation of being understood without needing to ask. Think about what that actually means for a tiny baby. In Western parenting, the most common model works like this: baby cries, parent responds. The baby learns that it has a voice, that it can change what happens around it. This is genuinely healthy. It builds self-expression and helps the baby recognize itself. But it also means the baby has to go through pain and distress every single time just to get what it needs. Japanese mothers work from a completely different starting point. Their goal isn't to respond to distress. Their goal is to stop it from happening in the first place. Japanese mothers spend an average of only 2 hours a week apart from their baby during the entire first year of life. American mothers, by comparison, are away for around 24 hours a week. Japanese mothers carry their babies constantly, in slings, on their backs, pressed against their bodies. They sleep beside them. They watch closely. They anticipate. And here is what the research shows actually happens because of this. The baby's nervous system never gets the chance to learn escalation, because escalation was never needed. The space between a need and its response is so small, so reliably small, that the baby's brain builds itself around a completely different normal. Calm becomes the starting point. The kind of crying that other babies develop? Japanese babies simply never needed to build that skill to the same level. Now for the second idea, Mimamoru. It means watch and protect. It's the Japanese practice of paying such close, steady attention to your baby that you begin to understand them before they say anything, before they cry, before they even fuss. You start to learn the tiny signals. The slight tightening of the shoulders that shows up 3 minutes before hunger arrives. The small shift in breathing that tells you too much stimulation is coming. The specific kind of stillness that comes just before an emotional wave hits. Most Western parents miss these signals, not because they don't love their babies, but because their culture never taught them to watch for them. Mimamoru says something simple and powerful: your baby is always talking to you. Your job is to learn a language that has no words. When parents actually practice this, when they catch the signal before the cry comes, something deep happens inside the baby's brain. The baby doesn't just feel calmer. It learns something at a very fundamental level. The world can be predicted. The world pays attention. I am safe. This is the neurological foundation of what psychologists call secure attachment. And it turns out to be the same foundation for self-regulation, the ability to handle emotions, to wait, to stay steady when things get hard. These are skills that show up years later in school, in friendships, in adult life. Built in the very first 90 days, by a mother who simply watched. Let me share one more piece of research, because this one is something you can actually try tonight. Scientists at the RIKEN Brain Science Institute in Japan looked closely at what happens inside a baby's body when a mother picks it up. They put heart rate monitors on crying babies and tracked what changed under different conditions. Holding while sitting. Rocking in a chair. Being pushed in a stroller. And then they tested one final condition, being carried by a mother who was walking for 5 minutes. Here is what they found. When a mother picked up her crying baby and walked, not sat, not rocked, but walked, with smooth, steady forward movement, every single baby in the study stopped crying within 5 minutes. Every single one. And the biology behind this is clear. When a baby is carried by someone who is moving, a whole chain of physical responses fires off. The heart rate drops. The muscles go soft. Cortisol, the body's stress chemical, starts falling. The baby's nervous system registers something important: I am being held. I am moving. I am safe. 5 minutes of walking. That's it. No new product. No sleep training. No expensive white noise machine. Now I want to be straight with you, because this part matters. Japanese parenting is not perfect. And it is not realistic for every family. The kind of physical closeness it demands, the co-sleeping, the constant carrying, only 2 hours apart from your baby each week, is genuinely not possible for a lot of parents. Families without help from grandparents or relatives. Parents who have to work. Single parents doing everything on their own. For all of them, that level of closeness is simply out of reach. And there is something else the data shows too. This much closeness does come with trade-offs. Japanese children, even though they are excellent at managing their emotions, tend to build self-reliance and independence a little more slowly than children raised in Western environments. Both paths lead to healthy adults. They just travel different roads. So I am not telling you to throw out everything and switch to Japanese parenting completely. What I am saying is, take the principles. Use what actually fits your life. Principle 1, the pre-cry scan. Every morning, when you pick your baby up, spend 60 seconds doing nothing but looking. No feeding. No playing. Just watching. Learn what normal looks like for your baby. Learn their small signals. The more fluent you get in their language, the less they need to shout to be heard. Principle 2, the 5-minute walk. The next time your baby is completely inconsolable, put down what you're doing. Pick them up. Walk. Smooth steps, moving forward, for 5 minutes. Let the biology do its work. Principle 3, the gap reduction. You don't have to be Japanese to close the gap between your baby's need and your response. Even cutting 30 seconds off the time it takes you to notice the early signal, before it turns into full crying, changes the whole interaction completely. Principle 4, the Amae question. Instead of asking, how do I respond to my baby, ask, what does my baby need before they even tell me? That one shift, from reacting to anticipating, from answering to reading, is the entire philosophy pressed into a single question. Here is what I want you to carry with you from today. A crying baby is not a broken baby. A crying baby is a baby whose gap between need and response has grown too wide. The Japanese understood this long before any research lab confirmed it, not through schedules, not through techniques, but through presence. Through attention. Through the simple, quiet act of knowing your baby so completely that they never have to ask twice. 2 words. Amae. Mimamoru. Watch. Anticipate. Respond before the cry comes. That is the Japanese secret. And now it belongs to you. If this video shifted the way you see your baby, go ahead and hit subscribe. Every week, we go deep into the real science of how your baby's mind works. See you there.